Hello, I'm gonna do a quick one. I talked about this in a different video, or at least a little bit, but we are in Leo season now. And I love Leo season because I feel like if the week was the zodiac, Leo season would be Friday. It's like the most fun, and it's the center of attention, the life of the party. It's still enough daylight within the day, but we're past the solstice. The days are getting shorter. It's got YOLO energy. It's very it's my pardon. It's my favorite season. It's my favorite time of the year, every year, almost without fail. And I just wanted to get a little bit of a reading on it, but also talk about a little bit more into the Venus retrograde situation, which I said I was gonna go see Barbie and then kind of compare the reason around that. Of course, the reason why anybody ever relaunches a franchise is because of money, making money. But I just, as far as all the different kinds of cultural phenomenon that they could choose to relaunch and exploit for the money, there's going to be a reason with this one. So stay tuned on that. I'm going to figure it out, or at least I'm going to shed my theories on it. And what else? Yeah, overall, it's feeling like it's not necessarily like, right, the misconception is that it could be a time for retrograde and then what everything Venus stands for, a time for things like imploding or not working out. That's only going to happen if they were built on faulty foundations. So it's actually a good thing. I mean, regardless, any time something goes into retrograde, it's a chance to review, reflect, and revise, which is something that every thoughtful person shouldn't have an issue with doing. But that means that we're going to be reviewing and reflecting the way that we engage in any type of relationship, what we want and what we're not getting and what we'd like. So that can't be anything but productive, albeit potentially hard in the way of growth pains and the things that people generally have resistance towards, like change. Like change. This is unrelated to all that, but I'm getting a serious need to just talk about the importance of movement again. Like, I certainly feel it. My body's like, we've been chilling for a little while, and I want to feel strong again. Like, I shared this many videos ago, maybe, or maybe not. I think I did, but I've gotten to a point where I'm okay feeling, I understand that my weight, my body will look different over the course of my life. I no longer have to be in tip-top shape and really toned up all the time, because there's ebbs and flows, there's times of indulgence, there's times of effort, and I'm re-entering one of those times where I can be a little bit more engaged. And I feel like it's because of what I've been talking about with energy picking up and the pace of things picking up, and in general, I believe it's all about how you feel. It doesn't have anything to do with how you look, but you just want to feel good. 333. And sometimes I do feel good with like extra weight on me and kind of being in like a hibernative energy within my life and like socially, but also within my body. And then on the other hand, sometimes I'm like, I just want to be out there and I want to be working. So whatever the inclination for you may be, where you're at within your own body, your own body's energy, just honoring that. I would imagine that a lot of people are feeling like they kind of want to like move around. Like, it's that antsiness, right? I've talked about it before as being like the spiritual itch, the spiritual itchiness of not expressing your creative energy in the proper way. But I'm also getting it as like just this need to unify with the, like, I don't even know. Yeah, just little stretches, whatever you can do if you're resonating with that, at least. If you're not, then go take a nappy nap. I don't know. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I also have a message around the body, the healing of the body, how it never feels good if you're not in tune with different parts of your body. And I'm talking about like every little bit of matter, you know, every little bit of tissue in your muscular body, every little bit of tendon and sinew. There's the ability to key into the very subtle, you know, involuntary parts and presences within your body. And it's important to be able to do this to figure out where things are trapped and stuck and stagnant within your body. And I like this exercise as a way to kind of help people start to feel into their body and also perform. I mean, it's really quantum healing at a cellular level. If you can suspend disbelief and work well with visualizations, it's not the form that everybody can kind of convince themselves into. But basically, when you're able to connect to love frequency, just the highest frequency that you can latch onto, and that's like maybe you're thinking of a good memory or a future scenario, just anything that fills you with peace and love and appreciation. And you can let that feeling take on like a color or a texture, or just be bright, just be tingly, just be warm. Yeah, a temperature. I don't know, it could be dark navy blue. It doesn't have to be bright, but just let it kind of fill your body. And while you're doing that, in fact, I have a visual aid for this, because you want to think about all of the different layers of the body in terms of, you know, there's the skeletal system, there's the organs, there's the muscular, you know? So it's not just feeling this energy, but it's imagining it going into like the bone marrow. Like if you look at a skeleton, who the heck knows what these ones are called down here? Like the metatarsals, all right? Like the pelvis, like all these different areas. And then you can go back into the same area, but visualize it with more detail, a different kind of detail. And use that frequency of being able to connect to something that feels good. It's like a bath, but what you're immersing your body in is light. Okay, so you're immersing yourself in that frequency and kind of imagining that every single moment that your body spends dialed up to that frequency that you bring upon yourself, you're giving it permission to restabilize all of the atoms, like down to the smallest structure within your body that everything's comprised of. You're giving that energy and that sensation permission to restore everything to like a glowing, vibrating, healthy frequency. What comes with that is like the cutting away of things that are stuck and stagnant. And it's just a visualization, but it has this profound effect. Like if I need a power nap or something, I'm not good at power napping. It takes me too long to fall asleep. And then by the time I'm asleep, I just want to stay asleep. I used to be much better at it, and I'd like to get back into it. Particularly one kind of sleep schedule called the Uberman cycle. I read a book on it one time, and it's not what most people would consider healthy, but you can, in fact, trick your brain to be able to slip into like little 20-minute naps, and you never actually take a full night's rest, because when you do slip into those sleep states, it's enough for yourself to have gained what most people get in a full night's rest of 8 hours anyway, just because the process for initiating yourself into it is something that I tried to do when I was in high school, and it was like honestly kind of brutal, and I never really fully made the transition, because you have to be able to essentially deprive yourself of sleep for a little while, which is like akin to torture, and then you ease into these naps that end up giving you more return than a normal person's sleep schedule would, because you can go right into REM and like those deeper, theta delta waves of brainwave, where you're getting deep dreaming and deep rest and rejuvenation. It's what the brain needs basically to keep functioning. So I was talking about kind of this mind over matter thing that you do with the visualization that has a lot of weight and merit and value, because what your brain believes is happening to you is happening to you. This is, most people would believe in the concept of placebo because it has been scientifically proven. Another thing I want to bring up before I get into the card reading was this study that I heard about from Ohio State University. And these people were using chemically treated foods that were known to cause some health issues on rabbits for some reason. This is what they were doing. And I believe it was really high cholesterol food, and they were tracking different results and diseases in the rabbit population. The two groups that they were studying had wildly different results. One group being said this fed the same food, did not develop any of those diseases linked to a high cholesterol diet, because the scientist was like stroking them and giving them little kisses and petting them and holding them. And so the brain chemicals that, are associated, like oxytocin, with intimacy and affection were present in that group of rabbits, which is just so cute also. But that brain state of feeling loved had the ability to mitigate the way the body was metabolizing basically a chemical or something, something that was out of balance. So that's miraculous. And you can say, even though that people are like, yeah, like affirmations and gratitude, you can absolutely say with scientific authority that there's something to that. And I was talking a few weeks ago about feeling like I needed to change my diet or grocery shop differently. It's going pretty well. I've been cooking some things. I'm gonna venture into stuffed peppers. I've made them once before in my life ever, but you know what? It's what I was feeling. It's a good season. It's a good time to try new things and do things differently. So it's hard to completely not eat anything that's been treated with anything. And there's something called nocebo, which is the opposite of placebo. It's not like no and o. All of those words have Latin roots and meanings, and I forget what it is, but it's basically you can use your own mind to harm yourself as well as you can use your own mind to heal yourself. So something that's problematic is when people go to the grocery store and they're like, all of this is processed food, it's not good for me, blah, blah, blah. That can actually do more damage than if you can prime yourself to be like, you know what, it's okay. Like there are a few things that I really like. I'm just thinking of my enormous can of Pringles in there. That's obviously not a natural food. It's obviously not good for me, but everything in moderation, right? I mean, to the point where I don't even think you can't fully ever live in a perfect, clean world if we're trying to work with certain things. Here in, America in particular, obviously there are certain chemicals that are not legal in Europe, and we are probably the least regulated country around those types of things. But like drugs, for instance, I do not believe they're bad. Drug addiction, yes, bad. Drug addiction is bad. Drugs, you can say with scientific authority that drugs can heal people. I mean, think about the world of medicine. Food addiction is bad. Food is not bad. Screens are arguably not bad. Screen addiction is bad, right? Adult entertainment is not bad. But porn addiction is bad. So everything in moderation. I don't really know why I'm saying all this, but that's the tone that I'm setting. Okay. All those cards. See what we got. Yeah, we've got power and intuition, and then triumph. These are all major arcana. So I'm going to read about those. I'm not going to read about power because I read about it pretty recently, but what I am getting is that we have an 8-8 here. In fact, we have 8-8-8 because we have a 7 and a 1 as well. But this energy with the lion has to do with the Lionsgate portal moving into August. And I said this before. It says accelerated motion and triumph. She's on horseback. It's giving, night energy of fast forward motion. And then things speeding up. Antelope energy from last week's readings. We have passion ignited, and there's green for the heart chakra, but also like fire. Clarity on the intuition, power, passion, triumph, and accelerated motion. Decisions. about what we want to do in order to work with all of this wonderful energy that's coming through and coming online and becoming more available to us. It's only as available to you as you do work to release old, stale, stagnant, trapped, and stuck energy that is not meant for you. It's only as available to you. It's very much present, but it's only as available to you as you make space to allow it to be there. Or you won't be able to manage and create much with it if you don't have space in your life, mind, and heart to be able to create with it. Ooh, what is it? Six of Swords and the Artist. Okay, and Justice. Again, this is all like a divine judgment. Judgment card has been coming out a lot, but Justice has too. With Six of Swords and the Artist, I see us finally leaving things behind, going into a new place. Finally doing this in order to make more space that we need, you know? I'm hearing the song Wide Open Spaces by the Dixie Chicks. And what do we have at the top and the bottom? Four of Wands and the Ace of Wands. Yes, we love that. What we're moving into, Ace of Wands is arguably one of the most passionate cards in the deck, and we have Passion Ignited, so those things go together. And he is moving into a different place. Look how, like, he moves into the light and, like, the way that the camera picks up the gold. It's just magnificent. So the movement is towards the stability, this land, the Four of Wands, the thing that we've been looking at for a while. Being able to follow our own advice, basically, and take instruction from the contents of our dreams and desires, from the process of actually having dreams and looking into maybe like what they mean, looking up symbolism, noticing patterns, letting that actually be something that truly does inform us about the things that our psyche and our subconscious is bringing to our attention to be released and focused on and worked with. I'm going to cut the Psychic Tarot here. Stand your ground. Bottom of the deck. Prosperity begins. We saw that card last week. Top of the deck. Love begins. Prosperity and love begin. Passion is ignited. Accelerated motion. You know what? You may say, of course you're going to be able to get these messages of these things every time you sit down and you pull these cards. That's not true. There are cards in this deck that say like fear, stuck, illusion, you know, there are cards that say that. So when we get a bunch that are about triumph, intuition, passion, power, motion. That's not me, right? That's just them coming out to honor what's going on right now. Okay. Intuition is the language of the soul. When this card shows up in a reading, it's a clear message that it's time for you to use your intuition. Just give it a chance and you'll quickly notice how it might be trying to get your attention. With so much information in this world vying for your every thought, it's easy to ignore or fail to acknowledge your insights. This is giving me that idea around the fact that your intuition is the cool calmness just below all of the raging, you know, chaos of the mind. And what happens when the energy picks up is that, you know, the ego does too. It still wants to cling to your attention. You do get a lot of, you know, maybe heightened anxiety or distractions and things because the energy is picking up. All parts of your being are privy to that or subject to that rather. But the intuition will key up too. You just have to continue to strengthen the muscle of being able to flex that choice of choosing to calm yourself down, see through those more chaotic surface level thoughts that come and go in order to connect with it. Synchronicities and so-called coincidences are powerful signs that intuition is knocking on your door. Have you heard a phrase or saying repeated by more than one person today? Do the same numbers keep showing up in your life? Has someone mentioned the name of a specific individual whom you were just thinking of? Come up here, babe. Come on up here. These are all signals for you to pause, be open, and pay attention. This is a perfect time to seek the answers from within. Turn inward where you'll find the solutions and valuable insights that are waiting to assist you. When you learn to use and trust your intuition, you'll begin to have a sense of not only the right timing, but you'll also begin to perceive people and situations with a deeper and more discerning eye. You'll not only observe beneath and beyond what's actually in front of you, you'll see the real deal. Okay, so this is the High Priestess card in the traditional tarot as well. And that's important to note because it's about that intuitive nature. But it has to do too, the High Priestess in the traditional tarot is known as the Virgin, okay? So through a time of celibacy, there's a reason why like nuns or people who are celibate for long periods of time, potentially their whole lives, are thought to be like more, spiritual or something, or maybe they're married to God. And I'm also getting that Sex and the City episode where Samantha Jones is like really attracted to her yoga instructor or something, but he is celibate because he talks about, which is a real thing, but it's Sex and the City, so it's like a joke, right? But it's real the way he talks about it. The sexual energy from the root and sacral chakras, if it's not expressed physically sexually, then it has the potential to rise up the other chakras and be transmuted through different forms. And I'm getting that this has to, there's just a correlation here in terms of moving our own energy and like transmuting things to be able to see things for what they are. That's part of the nature of the High Priestess. So look at her. Her eyes are closed, right? And she has this portal into the rest of the universe, but she doesn't even need to look through it with her physical eyes because she's kind of at one with it, right? Being able to see and be through other layers of perception. Okay, so this is the card Triumph, but in the traditional tarot, it represents the Chariot. So the Chariot is the major arcana card for Cancer. We just left Cancer season. We're in Leo season now, but the Emperor drives the Chariot. So this is kind of an alluding card to the Emperor as well. The power of your soul is pushing and nudging you steadily forward. Whether you're setting new goals, developing ideas, or planning a journey, it's essential that it's carefully thought out. When you tap into your inner guidance and balance it with self-control, hard work, and perseverance, it's likely to manifest a triumphant outcome. It's time for you to be single-minded and focus on the end goal. Visualize the successful results as if it were happening right now. When you've achieved what you set out to do, your ability to meet other life challenges will be significantly increased. That speaks to setting small goals every day, giving yourself the opportunity to be more impressed and self-satisfied than disappointed. And it's silly to do in the beginning if you're not fully convinced, but it's like, I'm going to drink 4 glasses of water today. You do that, you've checked a box. It doesn't matter how small the goal was, but just being able to accomplish things repeatedly allows us to reach for fulfilling larger goals that will not be gratified as soon, but we will develop the endurance to be able to move toward them consistently. When you try to move forward without balanced direction or guidance, it's easy to slip off your intended path and be drawn away from your desired goal. Now is not the time to let go or allow the river of life to pull you in its current, as you can so easily lose control. Grab your oars, grip them tightly, and steer carefully toward your highest aim or destination. The Triumph card reminds you that you don't have to be alone with all of life's ups and downs and challenges that face you. This is the time to tap into the powerful knowledge of others, as well as use the inner resources that are available to you. Yeah. Makes me think about how I was talking about guidance again and just like spirit guides and being able to ask for assistance. It also makes me think about the energy picking up and nocebo versus placebo. So whatever you think you can accomplish during this time, however equipped you think you are to be able to move forward during this time, that's going to play into your ability to move forward at this time or not. And I think a lot of it, like it's talking about, a plan. See how this card, she's looking out at the star. And it's what I've always talked about with the Hermit, right? But now she's outside. She's actually under the stars. She's taken it and thrown it up into, because she's actually on the journey, right? She's outside, she's moving forward. It does require a certain amount of decision, potentially sacrifice. And this has come up with the Two of Pentacles before, where I've talked about the fact that if I were to throw her another pentacle, maybe she can juggle and catch all 3. But in some cases, we do have to release in order to catch more. And the universe is like, there's a lot more here for you if you know what needs to stay and if you know what needs to go. And I'm also getting with Passion Ignited and the Ace of Wands that with the Venus retrograde right now, this might have to do with the way that we experience love and relationships, especially because there was that little bit about celibacy coming out. read the card for accelerated motion. Okay. This card represents speed, flight, swift movement, hope, passion, and above all, endings to delays. The conditions around you are perfect and appear to be rapidly heading in the direction of your goals and desires. Luck is on your side and your enthusiasm is at an all-time high. Brace yourself as you finally witness the manifestation of what you've worked and visualized for. This is a call for initiative, but you should also ask yourself, is there anything else in my life that I need to act on now? Be wise and take advantage of these ideal conditions. Now isn't the right time for you to fight against the river of life. Trust, have faith, and go with the flow. This strong current is taking you to a positive outcome and future. If you don't feel that way yet, you'll feel that way soon, as long as you continue to, release and like swim. It's not a sprint. It's triathlon. There's multiple different events involved. It's not a sprint, it's a triathlon. We're biking, we're swimming, we're running, we're changing shape, right? We're changing shape, we're changing form. A lot of different kinds of energy in this reading, and I like that, Like he's naked, maybe it was the swimming portion. This is the boating, this is the biking. Got a lot that's been part of this journey. I've talked about it as a journey. I've talked about it as a rebirth. I've talked about it as like needing to get some snacks for the journey, like all these different like parts. And I see her as being on the journey. Accelerated motion is what I talked about with the opportune conditions. So I'd like some clarifiers now just from the traditional tarot again. Sorry for the interruptions today with the dog and stuff. That one wanted to flip. Should I take it? No. I'm getting no. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm hearing that I need to check the Emperor. Yeah, I was going to get more, but I just wanted to check and see what it was before I kept going. So I said before, the Emperor is the one that drives the chariot. Okay, so there's an ability right now. What's really beautiful about the cards that have come out and what is happening is that there is an ability now to be aligned with how fast things are moving. That hasn't been there before. There's an ability to be in control over how things are feeling, not because it's necessarily comfortable, because this has to do with operating outside of our comfort zone in order to see things differently and be able to go somewhere new. So it's not like we're completely, totally comfortable, but a triathlon wouldn't be, right? You'd be challenged, you'd be exerting, you'd be going for it with everything that you've got because you signed up to do that. That's where we're kind of at in our lives right now. Whatever's happening, perhaps there's karma at play with justice and you're having to swallow some hard conditions or situations, but it's all informing you about what you can change moving forward. So I'm not saying that you need to accept things that are wrong in your life, but you do have to accept things as they are. We can't deny the conditions of our lives, whatever they may be. Because when you do that, you're not able to take any authority over what happens next, basically, because you're in denial about the fact that it's even, like that in the first place. And I think that in addition to things speeding up, everything kind of like, right, the clouds parting to reveal this place. It's like, well, gosh, we've actually wanted to go there for a long time. We just haven't known how. We've thought about it. We haven't done any of the releasing that we needed to in order to be able to see it. But we started, potentially as a result of not liking certain things so much, we had the clouds part and reveal an idea, a feeling, something that we could connect to in order to lead us out of that. And it's been a little chaotic, but I feel like we've risen to the challenge in a lot of ways of being able to be like, I need to be a little bit more prudent and honest and direct about the things that I've said I was going to do, about the things that I said I've wanted. I'm actually seeing like just the dynamics around friends who enable each other. So you all have a sense of camaraderie around the fact there's a bond within the idea that you all want to stop doing something, or you all have a collective bad habit and you kind of make fun of each other for doing it, and it's not good, but really at the end of the day, it helps you feel less alone. And if you were completely alone in the habit, you would probably stop doing it a lot sooner. So it's like our higher selves are not letting us kind of just, no matter if everyone is doing it, it's not maybe for us anymore. And what's in the middle of the deck? Ace of Cups. Yeah, so just another beautiful, we've got stability, we've got passion and emotion as well around the things that are changing. And I, again, don't necessarily we don't need to view this as a relationship type reading. It could be around, because we talked about alchemy with different kinds of energy. It can be all mobilized to, create something. You are material starts, material beginnings, contemplative abilities to change, will and drive an idea into matter, and you have infinite possibilities surrounding you, especially right now being divinely supported around, what you're actually going to choose to do with that, what you're actually going to choose to make. And with the idea of celibacy versus like sexual energy and sexual expression, life is inherently creative. I always talk about being able to express energy creatively because I'm a creative person, but at the same time, I would argue that everybody is creative. I would argue that because life is inherently creative, everybody is creative. Maybe they just haven't had the space or time to explore what it is that they're meant to produce. Maybe you need to take some time out to think about that. Maybe we've tried to, win at all costs at something that isn't fulfilling. On a spiritual level. He's not fulfilled, but he's thinking about how he could be. All right. Something clear. 36 minutes. I know like the first 20 minutes of this, I was just talking about stuff, but it is what it is. It is what it is. One more. Just one more. Oh, and I'm going to cut the deck for the Psychic Tarot as well and see what comes. The King of Swords. Cutting the deck with the Psychic Tarot. Solar Plexus. I love that there's actual sunlight like rippling off of it. That's cool. All right. So I do feel like something has lifted within our ability, solar plexus chakra again, being, and I talked about this yesterday or in the last reading I posted 2 days ago, the number 3 being that stable number that is a component of a lot of architectural builds because there is structure there. You have something to rely on. Mind, body, spirit, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. There's been something reclaimed in our ability to connect with, or if there isn't, there will be. You can choose to move into this space of clearing at this time if you don't feel like you're in this place of reclaiming an ability to kind of be self-motivated and accept responsibility for certain things and have willpower to engage with certain things, but also deny certain things, being just really discerning around that. And the discernment that we've been practicing in whatever way that might mean something to you. Again, my mind is going back to the small wins, right? Setting small goals and being able to meet small goals. And then maybe having to do like harder things, like not give somebody who typically takes advantage of your kind nature the time of day. So these little edits, that's done a lot for us in the way of reclaiming our inner sun. And I've talked about, right, the thing that you can have and conjure inside of you, but put it outside of you. Now you have this kind of quantum connection between your ability to make things happen and your desire to see it outside of you. This is a hugely, hugely powerful transition. Ooh, and what's right under that? The heart chakra. Yippee, yippee-ki-yay. I don't say that often. I've said it before, but I don't say it often, so I don't know if somebody says that. Anyway, you see how the yellow and the green are merging within her? When we have something that truly comes from a passionate place, then we can move towards it. And we can connect to that in this like bodily way, right? We can sustain that energy inside of us and it doesn't deplete us because it's aligned. We found something that can give us strength and energy because it has to do with the chakras flowing properly. And that's incredibly lovely. I feel like there's something that's just like waiting to be said, so I'm just gonna keep going for just a little bit longer. Hi, sweetness. Hi. Hang on. Go to your bed, buddy. Go on, Mutt. Bed. He's really not a dog. He's more like an 8-year-old boy. He's got 8-year-old boy Cub Scout energy. He does. Ooh. Ooh, so much happening. Okay, all right. Clarifier for this card here. Strength. Yeah, we've had the strength to put down any sort of comparison around, like, again, with this being the ability to temper the ego and conjure inner strength in a way that doesn't have to do with brute force, you know, and resisting and demonstrating. I feel like there's been some type of ability to release the need for drama. You want to be able to pick your battles. Maybe you've been giving things, you know, your energy and your attention away to things that didn't deserve it or give back to you. It's really hard to be able to identify that sometimes because they can be so baked into the integral parts of our lives that it's like, well, how am I gonna, again, with it's weird. Today, all my visions are like recycled. They're all ones that I've already used and seen before that arose in different readings to be original at one point or another. But I'm again seeing like the need to dig through the cake to get to the little plastic baby on Mardi Gras. We've kind of had to do that time and time again. And it's like, why am I doing this again? This is silly. I don't want to do this. Well, it's because it's the pruning of the dead leaves from a plant. The plant didn't need to give any more energy to those dead things. It was wasteful. It was wasteful. And again, with the walking of the dog, the walking of the dead dog, that's an analogy that I used and I really hated it at the time, but I mean, I had to share it because it came through. If your neighbor was walking a dead dog in your neighborhood, everybody would be like, somebody, I don't know, call the police or something. This is not normal. We're concerned. We're concerned as a neighborhood for you and what you're choosing to do. Okay, that was like your spirit team being like, it's time to kind of put down some of this wasted energy and redirect and rechannel things. And why before I was like, ooh, is because we got the Queen of Wands and the King of Pentacles. I love that. And they're not a conventional pair, right? They're not of the same suit. but they go together well. And this could be two sides of our own personalities, one coming in for more calculated stability around like masculine energy and being able to, especially because we also have the Emperor, we also have Justice, but also not letting that not be fun, right? I think that sometimes we have to choose, like, especially with like coming of age and moving into adulthood, like, do we want to have fun or do we want to be serious? You don't have to choose. You don't have to choose. You shouldn't have to choose. You can continue to have fun as you rearrange your life in order to be, you know, stable. You don't have to choose material stability or emotional fulfillment. You don't have to choose between certain things, and I think that we have previously thought that we did. This could also speak, as there's been so much about kind of, you know, a relationship theme, or at least things that make us feel love and passion, even if it's just for ideas or projects. It could also speak to being with somebody who compliments you, or attracting people into your life that will offer you things that complement what you bring to the table. That's an excellent energy too. One last look from one of these cards. Prosperity begins. I already saw that one earlier when I cut the deck. So we know about the prosperity. Give me something that we haven't seen yet. One more thing to talk about to conclude this. There it is. It's 2 cards. Woo! Okay. All right. I want to just bring your attention back to the fact that just a moment ago I had the solar plexus and the heart chakra out. What did we have for colors? Bright yellow and bright green, okay? Conflict and defeat is this card. He's like, I literally can't do this anymore. I thought I was escaping this, you know, dimly lit place, but I don't have the strength to. I'm going to fall back down the stairs and just stay here in this place that I don't necessarily think will meet my needs. The other thing I want to point out, the other thing that I didn't see, that I'm seeing now, is that in the background of this card, you see there's like other figures, and they're more like suggested, right? They're like drawings on the wall. They're not real people, right? It's like this myth that he can exit this space. But him, the real man, cannot do it for some reason, okay? Conflict and defeat. But what we have is spiritual strength. So they came out together, and I feel like what it's telling us is that there's always going to be, in times of radical big change, and look at the numbers here. We've got 5 and 9. That's 14. That reduces down to 5. And 5 is the number of radical change. We can easily feel like we don't have anything left, and like we're defeated, and like there's no other way to go or place to go. But I've said this before, sometimes the place that you need to go to in order to create new energy and free things up and do things differently is mental. It's in your mind. It has to do with the other quotients. Maybe we've tried and tried and tried so hard in the physical realm, you know? Maybe we haven't prioritized any other part of our own existence, like the emotional beginnings that we have available to us and the passion that we can cultivate in our lives. And therefore, the stability, right? And it's almost like he's seeing this spiritual strength that he can use to get through this time as being outside of himself. Like it's not part of who he is, right? And the symmetry's off. It's like they're on one side, they're in the light. He's kind of, there's light here, but everything's kind of out of balance, right? It's a funny card. You can't tell if he's like smiling or it's just, it's disoriented. This one is symmetrical. This one makes more sense compositionally. This one's not as hard to discern, right? And what's from this tarot? I know he needs attention. I understand. Go back to your bed. I'll be done soon. Go on. All right, you don't have to leave. You can stay here. Something to clarify this notion of defeat. What does it say? Conflict and defeat. But it came out with spiritual strength, and I do just want something to help us understand this pairing at the end of the reading. What is it? Give me just one, or give me 3. 2, 3. Just one. Okay, so the first 2, and again, this is in response. This is in response to spiritual strength and conflict and defeat, okay? Now, what I did before with the numerology was added together 5 and 9 to get 14, and I reduced that down to 5. So even as a combination, the spiritual strength and the conflict and defeat reduce down to big change. On its own, if I get rid of the conflict and defeat attitude by changing the internal attitude to one of strength, then it's a 9. The 2 cards that came out were also 9s. We have 999. That is an angel number that has the frequency and the vibration of almost being there. Almost being there. Almost being there. That's a beautiful thing. Almost being where? Emotional fulfillment, material stability, and a greater sense of understanding within our own self. How? Because we've allowed the High Priestess into our lives in a new way. We're surrendering to the fact that we do have intuitive gifts. We do have dichotomies within us. We do have an emotional side. We do have an action-oriented side. We have to be able to give to our lives and give to others and receive from our lives and receive from others. We have to be able to ask for help. We have to be able to offer our own help. There's this balance that's being achieved within all of the energy that's happening right now, and it is showing us that we can reach these basically new plateaus, right? Because things, you can't just accomplish everything, but there's a new, it's almost like if you've been on a hike that has a lot of switchbacks and hairpin turns, you get to these different points throughout your journey where it's like, wow, the view from this one, you're not at the summit yet, but the view from that lookout gets better and better as you keep ascending. It gets better and better. So this is about to be a really beautiful view. All that has to happen is switch out of this mentality. And what this is going to have to do with, again, tying the yellow and the correlation back to the yellow on the solar plexus card, is cut away anything that's preventing you from believing in your ability to have some type of, central sun. That's what the solar plexus is. It radiates outwards. If you don't have a healthy sense of self and what you're able to do, then there's going to be misalignment between what it is you experience and what it is that you want. It always has to do with how you feel about yourself. And then judgment on the bottom of the deck. What's at the top? Strength again. Oh, I don't think I shuffled. So strength was here anyway. Oh no, I did shuffle because I just got all of these. The 9 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles and the High Priestess. Okay, so that's good for now. That's good for now. I think that's a pretty clear message.